Hello and welcome. My name is Charmaine Williams and I am the chairperson for Remember the 400 UK. And to the left of me I have...
my name is Levi Rogers. I'm the vice chairperson for Remember the 400 UK.
We just want to thank you all for joining us today in a topic that we find absolutely important and essential. As you know, we're in August as we speak, and for Remember the 400, it is Freedom Month. So for us, it's Freedom Month. It's a time for us to celebrate. And what is Freedom Month? What is Freedom Month? So for the viewers who are watching, Freedom Month is a time where we celebrate the contributions of the people that have come over from the transatlantic slave trade. We celebrate our survival, we celebrate our culture, we celebrate our history. And if you look at Remember the 400, I keep looking at the flag. I think I love this flag, by the way. I just refer to this flag all the time. I just think it's such a powerful, powerful, powerful image. So you can reach us at rememberthe400.com, and on there you will find our mission and our values. And first of all, we're an organisation, we are a non-profit organisation, and we are a group of people who have come together to really empower our youth, okay, really empower our youth to understand their history, to be able to truly know themselves and their identity. And for us, that is, you know, absolutely essential to our growth and our empowerment as a community of people. And a community of people with such a, what can I say, a history that is so...
It needs to be remembered consistently.
A history that needs to be remembered consistently. A history that tells stories of pain, grief, struggle, power, blood, sweat and tears, but moreover a story that really represents our survival and our, you know, our advancement. And that's why we call August Freedom Month, okay? So let's go into August and Freedom Month, because, you know, I'm sure those who are listening would like to know a little bit more about Freedom Month and why we've chosen August for Freedom Month. So in August,
that this month specifically marks the enslavement of our people, the emancipation of our people, and all the laws and acts that were passed even in between. And to keep it in this month means so much to us. For example, here in the UK, Black History Month is kept in October. Considering we're an international and global organisation, you have Canada, which is our headquarters, and then you have the US that are also a part of the organisation, and they keep Black History Month in February. And the way we look at it is there is no significance in even keeping it in these months. One, for example, in February, it's the shortest month of the year. Why is it that Black power and the advancement of our people is celebrated in the shortest month of the year? Also the coldest month of the year for them countries. And even in October for us, it's the same month that's even, I think, is it Bonfire Night is in October or something along those lines?
Yes, definitely.
And all the dark sort of celebrations are kept in the same month in which we're meant to be keeping our celebrations of who we are and our identity. Nothing in regards to slavery or how we got here or what we done to get here, nothing happened in October. So why keep in October? It should definitely, most definitely be kept in August.
Okay, so that is really an interesting point that you made about Black History Month being kept in October, and the fact that it doesn't fully signify all of our full history, right? But yet there are a lot of great things that happen in October for Black History Month. I think when we're talking about Remember the 400, we're speaking about a specific nation of Black people, okay, whose history is actually British history, but is not taught in our schools.
100%.
It's not taught on the curriculum. And I think for that, August is much more relevant, and I think that's the point, okay? For August, for us, Freedom Month, it talks about a particular nation of people. And we're talking about, when we say Remember the 400, we're talking about the 400 years of slavery. And we're talking about a specific slavery, the transatlantic slave trade.
Yeah.
Now, it was in August 1619 when the first human beings came over on a Dutch ship.
White Lion.
Yeah, on the White Lion, exactly. And they were brought over to Virginia, okay? And they were made slaves, all right? And then it was also in August, okay, that the British abolished the slave trade. They spoke about it in 1833 and they passed a law in 1834, all right? So they abolished the slave trade. And I will say, if the British Empire has the power and the authority to abolish a slave trade, then they also have the power to have directed that slave trade, and they also have the power to profit from that slave trade.
Exactly, yeah.
And we know that the British community, society, and all of their economy was built upon the blood, sweat and tears of actually my forefathers and my foremothers, because my parents were born in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And as you know, Jamaica is that place where the at the time, quote unquote, slave master took the quote unquote bad slaves. The slaves who were put throughout the Caribbean on many plantations, but the slaves that rebelled were taken to Jamaica. And that's why it's quite easy for me to be able to trace my history back. So we know that in the transatlantic slave trade, Africans were taken from Western Africa. They were traded and they were sold and purchased by Europeans. Okay? And we came and we labored for years. Okay? And that was between 1619 and 1834, right? But it goes further than that, right? Because we understand that slavery also is not just it was not just about physical slavery, being in chains, but it's about mental slavery, psychological slavery,
Exactly, yeah.
and social injustices. Okay?
Still witnessing today.
Absolutely. And for us black Brits that live in the UK, we really feel that it's important and very significant to have something that is recognised in the UK that really acknowledges the atrocities and the contributions of the people, the human beings that were brought to these countries as slaves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is, we're still fighting for August to be our Freedom Month, right? And the way I see it is,
I'm claiming August as our Freedom Month.
Exactly, we should claim it. We
We're
shouldn't even
claiming
ask or
August,
try and get it.
yeah.
We should claim it. But the way I look at it is, why should the Queen or any, let's say the governments, let's say any government, dictate when we keep our Freedom Month, considering the fact that they were part of the reason we were in the situation we were in. Freedom Month is in August because we remember and use that month to signify our freedom and our emancipation and our enslavement. And all these governments around the world that give us October or February, it makes no sense, because, as I said before, there is no signification or no symbolism in October or in February to tell us this is our month, or this is where you must keep a celebration onto your people. And yeah, that's the reason why we keep August.
I think there's room. I think there's room for both. I think there's definitely room
100%.
for both, because October set a platform. Even though it doesn't signify specific history, it set a platform for black history.
Yeah.
And I also view October as Pan-Africanism. So you're talking about the global black human race's contributions, or atrocities that they faced with colonization by the British Empire, because the British Empire colonized 2/3 of the world, okay, which meant that the British Empire went into Africa and really truly divided that continent, didn't they, and colonized it. So when I think about Black History Month, although I know it's not relevant to my history or the descendants of slavery so specifically, I think it's an opportunity for all black human race to celebrate and do what they want to do. But Freedom Month is really specific to British history, And not only British history, but American history too, because 100%. We are at Remember the 400, we're an international organisation.
Yeah.
We're absolutely an international organisation, so we have branches in Canada, New York, New Jersey, Missouri, and Atlanta. Yeah. Absolutely. And the Remember the 400 is about educating and truly teaching the youth about identity. And one thing we know is that the so-called African Americans, and I always say so-called African Americans because they should actually just be known as Americans. You know, those people also came and were treated and brought to the Americas as slaves.
Yeah,
exactly. In fact, America was built on the blood, sweat and tears of the slave trade.
Exactly.
Absolutely, systematically, it's ingrained in that system. We know that we are a people of diaspora, which means we're people that are scattered, which means that is our people, they are our families. Because if my family's from the Caribbean, that's South America, isn't it? So you've got America, South America, Canada, it's all linked, we are the same people. And I say the reason why we feel the pain of the injustices that are taking place in America today is because it's that we can relate, and it's that connection, that spiritual connection, and not only that, we're dealing with the same systematic oppression, right? So we seek to teach our youth, you know, their true identity, and actually for them to realise that struggle over there is our struggle exactly here in the UK. Yeah. So should we go a little bit more into Remember the 400 and what our mission and our values are? So first of all, we're a youth empowerment group, okay? Our goal, what we truly want to do is we want to empower our youth, and we aim to restore, reclaim and re-educate. You know, we have to take responsibility for our own teaching now, because 100%. They're not telling us, they're not telling the true story of who we are, and we know who we are, and we know how well we've contributed to the British society and culture. Okay, so that's what we do. We want to heal the racial divide. You know, when I'm saying that we want to educate about our identity and our contribution to the British world, I'm not just talking about educating quote unquote black people. I'm talking about all ethnicity. Exactly. Because our history is British history. And actually, if more people of different ethnic groups really understood our contribution, you know, you wouldn't have scandals like the Windrush scandal. You wouldn't, you wouldn't have people having an outlook that they shouldn't actually have. They'd actually value us because they'd know that these people have come, they've worked, they've built this country. They deserve to be treated equally. You know, so that's what we do. That's exactly what our aim is as Remember the 400. And so
I just wanted to touch on what you said about re-education and of our people, because as we're going to touch on the Windrush scandal, even if you research it, the people that were brought from the Caribbean to the UK on the what's the name of the ship, the WV
Windrush
ship, right? Then people were brought to the UK after World War II, and they were used. Got some facts here. They were used to sort of settle the. Put it this way: if the people from the Caribbean weren't brought to the UK, the British economy would have went down. It would have damaged so badly. For example, I can give an example on this. In Americas, because I'm going to relate it to America because they're still descendants of slavery, right? After World War I, they went through something called the Great Depression in the year 1928, which was a recession that they had suffered due to all the expenses that they spent on World War I, on weaponry, and on infrastructure that they must have lost because of the war and whatnot. I reckon the UK would have learnt from that mistake and thought, we can't be the same as the Americas, so therefore they brought on people from the Caribbean to sort of help the economy build. Because had we not come from, or had my grandparents not come from the Caribbean to the UK's economy would be so weak right now. The industry would be nowhere near as bad as it is. As you may know, if you look at the markets right now, the Great British Pound is one of the strongest in the market, and I put that solely down to my grandparents and whatnot, because had they not come, the trading that we do with other countries, the industrial part of it, the agriculture, the bankers, the lawyers, and everyone that contributed to this country from the Windrush, none of this would have been, or the pound of the economy would never be as strong as it is now.
Absolutely. I think you hit it on the head there, and with those facts. Absolutely. And let's get more facts, because we've got some even noted down. So just to confirm what you've said, 1948 to 1971.
Yeah.
That's when the MV Empire Windrush ship came on the 22nd of June to Tilbury Docks. Exactly what you've just said, and you can find this information you know, on the internet. Okay, and they brought Jamaicans, Trinidadians, people from Tobago to fill post-war UK labour shortages, guys.
Exactly.
Post-war UK labour shortages. And these people came to what they knew to be their mother country. Because the Europeans in the Caribbean would say that England was their mother country. That I remember my grandparents, that's what they say, oh, we came to our mother country. And why, how, you know, what does that mean when you say it's a mother country? It's like a parent country. And the reason for that is because you know that you took us from Africa, and we can only locate Western Africa. We don't know the details of, you know, where we were before that time, but you took us as slaves. And for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, we lived under your rule, at your service. And you know, they tried to say that there was no slavery in England. You know that? But what's an indentured slave then? An indentured servant, sorry. You're still forced to work under certain labour. It's just a poor conditions. It's just a political term. Okay, so the British controlled and directed the slave trade. So our forefathers were British subjects. Okay, British subjects, all part of the Commonwealth, depending on what years in time you came over. Okay, you can do the history on that. So there's a difference between having been migrated into society than being a immigrant. Okay, because we were migrated. Okay, which means we're entitled to the Red Book, the citizenship.
And to even add to it, sorry to cut you off, they needed us to come and come into society. Because they needed us. It wasn't just a migration.
Absolutely, they needed us. Well, was slavery in the first place, so everything was free in the first place, and then we came voluntary and worked, you know, when after slavery, you know, and I'm not talking about mental, I'm talking about after physical slavery. You know, so that's how we came here. So that's why we deserve citizenship without any question. You know, people are that ignorant that they look at the colour of the skin and they then assume that you have no rights really to be here, or not as much rights to be in this country. But absolutely not, because it's not just people with dark skin, black skin, brown skin. You know, if you look at how people got to, you know, Europeans around the world, got to the countries around the world, were they immigrants in those lands and countries? But it's never thought of like that. You know, and again, psychological and education, things that are taught. So, you know, we contributed greatly to society.
Massively.
What wars did we fight? Did we fight in wars?
The Falkland War.
Falkland War, and when was that? 1982. We
contributed in World War II.
World War II, and even World War I. We were fighting actually on the front lines. You know, we have just helped build these countries. And we want people to know our history. Why is it not taught in the schools? You know, so
I can definitely vouch for that, because having studied history in school, World War I and II, as part of my down here we have something called A levels, that's something you do before you go to university, and that part of so World War I and World War II was part of the what do you call it?
Curriculum.
Curriculum. That's it. World War One, I never, not once from my teachers was told that there were a massive amount of black fighters in the front line. I was never told that. Never told. Videos you see on YouTube. There was an advert from John Lewis, a big store over here, and I think it was a couple years ago. It was a Christmas advert.
Yeah.
And the whole advert was set around the fighters from World War One. So you have the Germans and the English, and every single fighter in that advert was a white man. No black fighters there.
Yeah.
It just shows that's a prime example of them showing that they failed to acknowledge the black contribution that they needed at the time.
And that's how they enabled white supremacy.
Exactly.
Because there is this thing called white supremacy that is so ingrained in society for us to think that if you have white skin you're much more superior.
Yeah.
But if that's the visions, if they're the visuals that you see every day on the TV, my daughter watches TV and she sees, the princesses have, blonde hair and blue eyes, and there's nothing wrong with, dolls with blonde hair and blue eyes, but then she then thinks that is the vision, that's the image of beauty.
Exactly. So
when you ask her, oh, are you beautiful? No, because I'm not white. Or if you want to go and buy your child a doll that looks like them, you've got to order that doll, because you can't find as many black dolls, in the shop as you would, the white dolls. And people might think, oh, come on, why are you talking about colour? But actually, if there is no representation, it becomes psychological. If everything that is associated with the colour black is deemed as negative, I mean, you've even got the snooker table. The white ball has to pop the black ball.
Exactly.
If you even look at that, or you look at the word black male, you're a black male.
Exactly.
But the word black male,
so many negatives.
It's so many negatives.
Blacklisted or anything like that. Yeah.
Blacklisted, all of that. Everything black is associated with negative, and then we then counteract that and say, yeah, well, I'm black and proud, and we are. I'm black and beautiful. Yes, I am. But we always have to try and defend our position, because we're all just deemed as black.
Yeah.
But yet, I always make this point. You've got, Polish man, English man, Scottish man, German man. They all have white skin, but they're not all classed as being exactly the same.
Exactly.
And I think the beautiful thing that I love about Freedom Month and Remember the 400 is that we're talking about a specific nation of black people. Now, I love all people, number one, and I love all black people, number two, okay? But this history, the transatlantic slave trade, is so relevant to British history, and yet it's not told. We've got people growing up in this country. You can't say go back to your own country, because where the hell is that?
Exactly.
Where the hell is going back to your own country? Oh, we'll go back to the Caribbean. You placed me there. You took my labour. The place, there may be a level of poverty or, whatever there is in certain places. You're not going to tell me just to go back anywhere, because I work here and I pay my taxes and I pay my bills, and, we're legitimate people here, right? But yet you have a political scandal called the Windrush, and I keep going about Windrush, and I have to. We were going, there was Brexit. Brexit was the conversation at the time in 2018. And we did not know what was happening to our people. We did not know that people have lived in England since the age of 5, 8 years old, brought to this country on their parents' passports, through the Windrush. Now, if you look at the image of the people who came on the Windrush, they came with suits.
Exactly.
They came with ties.
Yeah.
Yeah. They came with skills. They didn't come over as thugs and people with this stereotype of thug and all of that. They came over humble, willing to work and work hard. I've got my dad. I talk about my dad. The work ethic. Always wants to work. Always willing to work really hard. The men in my family always want you to work really hard. Not lazy, far from lazy. But yet there's a different interpretation of who we are. So you tell me how British citizens were wrongfully detained, lost their homes because they were no longer allowed to work in their jobs. Okay, they were not allowed to claim any welfare benefits, and then when they were not detained, they were deported.
Covert racism.
So I've got my children here, I've got my grandchildren here, I've been working and paying taxes for years and years here. I can prove I went to that school, I've got that teacher writing a witness statement to say I've been here all these years. But because I cannot find that Home Office paper that says I came into the country at this date, because all of those papers went missing, you can just send me on a plane somewhere in 2018, and the people and the families are still suffering.
Yeah.
Remember the 400 guys? Like, how is it that we can be treated in this day and age like that? And how is it that there's not enough people to care?
Exactly.
They don't care. They think, oh, you're playing the race card. But no, this is oppression. You know?
Yeah, I think it touches on covert racism, as we were going to go into. Covert racism is, I'll break up the word. So covert, doing something covered or doing something without the intention of being seen. Racism, as we all know, the discrimination or the ignorance of one person to another because of their skin color or their race. I think that's a massive example of covert racism. How could a whole government, bear in mind the British economy or the British government are one of the most advanced in the world, but yet you're sending people back because you've lost their documents. It's crazy.
You don't know the difference between migration and immigration.
Exactly.
You know, how come it is definitely a scandal?
Yeah.
So bringing it back to remember the 400 in the organisation that we represent, you know, I really have to thank, you know, the founder of this organisation, Elder Shadrach, Shadrach Porter. You know, to me, he's my elder because I like to look up to my elders. And, you know, he has been fighting so hard for our youth, you know, to truly come into the real identity of themselves and come into self-awareness and self-empowerment. And, you know, I've been blessed enough to have been taught so much by him for me to really come into, you know, myself and know myself and be able to place myself in society, you know, and have a level of confidence that I can, you know, come out and say the things that we're saying here and stand up. And, you know, we're not, you know, we're celebrating our Freedom Month, right? This is nothing negative. We're celebrating our Freedom Month, and, you know, we truly want to heal the racial divide. We truly want to educate, you know, all nations about our history in Britain, because it is so important. Yeah. So as an organisation who are not for profit, you know, we support, you know, the advancement of our people, because there is such a always been put at a disadvancement, you know, by systematic oppression. And people say, what are you on about with this systematic oppression? What are you on about with what are we on about with systematic oppression? Well, slave trade abolished 1834, but then what happened? Exactly. New laws came in. Exactly. You know, new laws came in to put us at a disadvantage. Exactly. You know, that Jim Crow laws in America. We know the Jim Crow laws in America. UK, it had laws to keep us at a disadvantage, and that is what you call systematic oppression. Not only that, if we are not in a position to own property, because how can we own property if we're slaves? If we're not in a position to own land, because we cropped the land and we did everything, but we were slaves, and there's nobody who's being able to support us to restore or reclaim, we're starting at the bottom with nothing. No education, no identity, no nothing. And that's why I love this, because we're celebrating where we are today. You know, we're celebrating how far we've come, even when we've been given nothing. Exactly. You know, and, you know, we do not want to tolerate, you know, being in a position where that can just be taken so easily, like the Windrush scandal. So, You know, we just ask, you know, that everybody try and support, you know, our cause in empowering our youth, because there is so much of a negative representation of our youth that is not true, that is not holistic, that is not full at all.
Can I just chime in there as well? Because exactly what you just said. We're, as an organisation, we're trying to empower our youth. I don't want to, in the next 10 to 15 years, be in a position where I feel like my race is going to stop me from being able to do something. I don't want to, in 10 to 15 years, be in a position where, in London specifically, you've got black on black crime and I have to worry about where I'm going to go or how I'm dressed or how I come across. This is the reason why, as an organisation,
stereotype,
exactly. This is the reason why, as an organisation, we do stuff like this and we educate the youth, because we're next in line. We're next to run with the baton, so we need to make sure that we're well equipped for what we're gonna have to do and what we've got going on, and we need to be well prepared for what could happen. We wanna, as you said, we're gonna celebrate black achievements and whatnot. We want so many more black businesses out there in order for us to even celebrate that. In order for, let's say God forbid, the government refuse to fund black businesses. We want to be put in a position where we don't need their funding. You know, we're supporting each other financially, and even
unity,
exactly, unity is the main word, because I feel like for so many years, as you said, Elder Shadrach, my granddad, right? He made an amazing point in the speech that I'm going to perform later on in the month. He said, on the 23rd of August, we'll talk about that later on. He made an amazing point in his speech. When we see each other, as in black people, rising up, we try and pull each other down, and that's not how it should be. We need to keep pushing each other up, because otherwise we're just gonna keep staying in the same cycle of oppression. And this time, if we do keep pulling each other down, we can't blame anyone else but ourselves in that situation.
And I like your point, because there's two points here, isn't there? There's a measure of the way in which people perceive us and treat us based upon the perception, or you know, that the media give about the young black youth especially. You know, and it's not usually a positive. Okay, so we want to educate all ethnicities about our contributions and our creativity and our abilities, and you know, we want to give a different narrative, 100%, because the narrative that has been given is false, number one. However, there is a small demographic of youth that I would say practice self-hate. Okay, and you know, when the media talks about the youth and the knife crime in London, I hear what they're saying. London, when you talk about youth and knife crime in London, it equates to black people. It equates, you know, London, you're talking about black people. And if you know people of colour, it's never just black people, because we hang and we move with so many different ethnicities and people around us. It's never just black, you know, but that term London, they won't talk about the neighbouring areas just outside of London. You have Hertfordshire, you have Essex, you have Kent, you have Sussex, and there is crime and things going on there with knives and drugs in those areas, and you never hear it highlighted, okay, on the news. It's always London, London, London. And again, covert oppression, covert racism. We're hearing the communication and we know what you're saying. We know what you mean. But again, it's a false narrative. However, for the few of black young youth that do practice what I call self-hate, we're also, remember the 400, we want to reach, we want to educate those, we want to educate those guys to teach that, you know, that is not going to get us far at all. And actually there is another way, you know, and although society might not always appear to be pushing you up that ladder really, really quickly, that one is playing into the stereotype, playing into the prison and the business of the prison systems. And you know, we want to reach out to those people and say, you know what, build your communities. You know, if that's your postcode, own property, own the land. You know, if you want respect know what respect is, know how to receive respect, you know, and also petty stuff, small things, it's not worth it. It really isn't worth it. But, you know, we want to reach out to those guys too. But again, I want to make that very clear. That is a very small geographic part of our youth today. That does not call for the bigger picture. So I think we covered quite a bit, right?
We did, yeah.
We've truly touched on quite a bit. So, you know, what we want to say is please go to our website, rememberthe400.com, you know, to support us. Guys, we have a QR code on our website. If you can support our cause and you have a business, whoever you are, please get a QR code and put it in your businesses to promote us and our cause. If you have a cause, you know, that's going to help with the advancement of our people, please reach out to us. Go to the contact page and reach out to us. GoFundMe, we have a GoFundMe page. In relation to this, as I said, we're a non-profit organisation, but any sponsors that come through to us go back to our youth. It goes back into our community to build and develop our community, and we need that, guys, because as I said, for hundreds and hundreds of years we've been put at a disadvantage, and it's our responsibility to really help build our community. So we have to take a level of community, but responsibility, community. But for all of you guys who really do want to support this cause, no matter where you're from, this is not just a black, a black thing, and you have to be black. We welcome all races, all ethnicities, all people to come and jump on board and support our cause. So please find us at rememberthe400.com and find out more about us. Go up there, look at our mission statement, look at our values, email us, ask us any questions that you want. We are a responsible organisation. There's a lot of youth in our group, and I'm so proud because we've got great youth leaders, and which is going to take me on to the next person that we're going to invite here.
Big corporations, this time in Germany. And Volkswagen came up with another 12 million. Why?
Because they cried.
Because they cried, they were recognized and compensated, and that is... Now don't shoot me, I'm just stating facts. And listen, I'm not taking anything away from what happened to them, because what happened to them was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. But I want to highlight something to you. I want to highlight the definition of Holocaust. Because it's not just to do with Jewish people, you know. Holocaust means slaughter or destruction on a mass scale. Didn't that happen to us?
No.
So hold on a minute. What about our Holocaust?
And even if you don't love us, we love us. And even if you don't stand by us, we stand by us. Today, we are wide awake. The cards on the table have changed. And we are no longer the game that you play to conquer. We are the players now. And if you're against us, you are going to get played.
Remember the 400 organizations stand before you today, not just in the UK, but we're gathered right now in Canada and in the US, different states. Remember the 400 is a worldwide organization, understand that. And we are the same organization and we have the same mission.
I love that clip. I am so excited, guys. I'm so excited. Joining me right now, we have one of our community leaders and public speakers, a great advocate for Remember the 400. And this young man has been with us from the beginning. I have the pleasure of working with him regularly. So let me just welcome everybody. This is Jayden Campbell.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, Jayden. Wow, so tell me, Remember the 400. What does that mean to you?
So Remember the 400.
Yeah.
I'll start with us as a people. So I believe that as a people we're very myopic. And if we want a better future, we have to prepare for that. So with Remember the 400, you know, one of the missions is to empower our youth.
Absolutely.
And as everyone knows, the youth is the future of tomorrow, right? So we have to invest in our youth. And I believe that Remember the 400 is a great organization that really teach you and really, it shows you, because so much people really do believe that our history starts in the belly of ships. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so what did we do before? Were we just born there? It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
How could our history start in the belly of ships? So that's one thing that I really do love about the Remember the 400 organization, and it's the vision, it's the understanding that you have to prepare for tomorrow, right? And with the vision being that, you know, for all ethnic groups to have really an understanding and an awareness of the atrocities and the contributions that we've made globally. It's a good start, you know. It's a very good start.
Yeah, and I think that's the essential part, the contributions, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Because you said, you know, well, where were we before?
Yeah.
And I worry that, you know, people think, oh, Remember the 400, you always want to just talk about slavery. We were much more than slaves, you know, but yet we have the flag that says Remember the 400. So we really want to get that, you know, clear, I guess, is that we completely understand that we were free human beings before the Atlantic slave trade. Yeah. However, this transatlantic slave trade has played such a significant part in our history, and it plays a significant part in British history. Exactly. And that's what we want to be taught. Exactly. And we want all people to know the contributions of our people, you know, and how we've helped to build a society.
But it's the thing as well, is that we want people to know.
Yeah.
And so many of us don't even know.
That's absolutely true.
And that's why I love Remember the 400, because we educate, you know. And you know the saying, the minute that you begin to forget is the minute that you begin to repeat. Yes. And that's why, again, as I said, the vision is just so great, because it's a future that prepares for tomorrow. You know, as I said, we want to raise awareness, and we also want to provide a future for the descendants of the children of slavery, so that we could support and give the funding, the foundation needed not only to thrive, but to but to begin the process of healing the racial divide. So it's a great organization to be a part of, and what I find is that a lot of organizations, I'm not trying to bash anybody, but what you find is that some people don't like to talk about slavery, and the ones that do like to talk about slavery only talk about slavery. They ponder on the problem, but there's no discussion and actual plans to execute solutions.
Absolutely.
So the Remember the 400 cover every aspect, and that is what we need. We need actual plans, because
on the root
exactly
to the solution, right? And we want to take that responsibility to having our part in, you know, the solution and the restoration of our people.
100%.
So absolutely. So tell me, you was in Virginia in 2019, right?
Yes.
So tell everybody about Virginia. What happened there?
So I went to Virginia August 2019, which marks 400 years.
Right.
Because, you know, the first slave touched down in Jamestown, Virginia, from the west coast of Africa in 1619, as Levi had said earlier, on a ship called the White Lion.
Yes.
So we went to, again, remember the 400, right? So we went out there, and the founder of the Remember the 400, Shadrach Porter, put on a theatrical called The Journey, and can't put into words how mesmerizing that was. Like, you honestly can't forget the experience.
Right.
It's one that you can't put into words.
Yeah.
Honestly, just an amazing show.
So this was the journey of...
And that's what I'm saying, it's the journey which documents our journey. So it's just a great performance, and he's put on so many others which people should definitely, if they were being put on again, make the effort to go. 100% make the effort, because he's extremely knowledgeable and can teach so much. He's taught all of us so much.
So absolutely,
right?
yeah, absolutely. He, you know, the founder, creator of Remember the 400. You know, this is a great cause, and it's a credit. It's a credit to him, you know, to really.
And that was just on the 23rd.
Right.
So on the 24th was I Am More. So that's where I actually spoke and gave a speech. But the setup of the day was, there was a main stage, and then stalls on stalls on stalls on stalls. There was about 25, I believe. If I'm correct, there was about 25. And Remember the 400 had over half of those stalls, and it was so nice to see is, and even from other people when they gave their feedback, is that at the stalls, the people that were educating you at the stalls were the youth. Every single stall that Remember the 400 had, and it was a passport. So at the end, you got the passport to stamp and say that you understand, because you were taught so many different things, and it was just a great day.
Wonderful.
It was an absolute great day.
Absolutely. And I really love that as well. I am more for the youth. You know, that says a million words, doesn't it? 100%. I am more. I really love that. I really enjoy the I Am More events that, you know, we do during Freedom Month. I think it's a great asset to, you know, our celebration.
Again this year as well, right?
Yes.
The virtual one. So with that, it's, as you say, it's a great title, because in a society where, you know, the black man was known as 3/5 of a man, it's like, no, I am more. Right? So
absolutely.
It's just, Remember the 400 is really an organization that it stands out above all. In my eyes, stands out above all different organizations.
So before we move to the event that took place in Brixton, you know, I have to just with you. You know, you're a young black man, okay? You meet that stereotype, you know, that we see all too regularly, you know, of a young black male, you know, where you potentially, you know, move around the areas and the locations that you move around. You know, you fit the stereotype. So tell me how come Remember that, you know, what makes you different? Or is it, are you different, or
100%.
What? Yeah.
100%. And I would completely boil that down to education, knowledge of self. right? And I truly do have the Remember the 400 to thank for that, and the founder, Shadrach Porter, because I've learned so much from him. And when you have that knowledge of self, you understand that, again, with I am more than the average stereotype. So I'm not going to now play what someone has told me to be, because I'm not that. So if that's what somebody wants, then no, I move different. If other people act like that, then that's on them. But I know who I am, and I'm confident in myself, so I'm not gonna act like everybody. So
absolutely,
stereotype,
and that's what we don't want to lose in our community, our society. That respect and regard for our elders and 100%. The lessons in which they can teach 100%. Us, the knowledge that they can pass down to us. You know, we want to have regard for our our elders, because they have a lot to share, and they've been through a lot. They've had a lot of experience. So,
Sorry.
No, go for it. I
was gonna say, and even because something that I truly do like to live by, right, is that you learn a lot as you reside in the earth, right? Okay. You learn a lot as you grow. And if you could learn from even the mistakes and lessons from your elders, then you give yourself that opportunity not to make that mistake. So that's why you have to listen to your elders. It's just so they can teach you things that you could avoid, And that's even why if I was an unruly black boy, then I wouldn't be where I am today.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't even have been speaking at the event in Brixton.
Yes. And we want our youth to be better than us. We want our youth not to make the same mistakes we make. We want them to excel, because that shows our success, and we have to keep growing and building, right? Okay, so let's get to Brixton. Oh my goodness. So Brixton, 1st of August, we kick-started Freedom Month. And what a success that was. That was absolutely brilliant, and credit to everybody involved in organising that event and partnering up with other organisations, because again, that's something that Remember the 400 do. That's what we want to do. We want to be part of our community and our society, and anything that advances our community, we want to be a part of. And it was a great family atmosphere, community event. I saw no problems, no trouble. It was all love and goodness. So you got on that mic, okay, in Windrush Square, and you laid down some words. So tell me about that, and what inspired your speech? What inspired the words that you said?
Well, do we have it?
Let's show the clip.
Okay.
Let's show it.
So I have a question. Has anyone wondered why these marches feel a little different now? Has anybody wondered why people are actually starting to educate themselves? Has anybody wondered why people are actually beginning to listen? Even celebrities, they're beginning to apologize for the offensive things that they've done to us. Last year, I stood in Virginia, where the first slaves first touched the soil in America. And I stood in front of a crowd on a stage, and I spoke to a whole lot of people. And I said to them that our forefathers were indispensable when it comes to building these countries. Are we in agreement on that?
Yeah!
I told them that we built these countries with one hand tied behind our backs. Now that's a figure of speech. One hand tied behind our backs. So imagine what we could do with both hands stretched forth towards the heavens. I stand here today part of the Remember the 400 organization, whose mission is to empower our youth. Whose mission is to teach of our atrocities and our contributions globally. We need to understand who we are and where we are from in order to understand where we are going. Is that right? Our forefathers and my elder, Shadrach Porter, have passed the baton to my generation. He's passed the baton to us, and we will continue to do the same with our children. Imagine how much research our children won't have to do if we just taught them the truth now. Can we all agree on that? Nobody should be teaching us about us, especially teaching other people about us, right? Now, this is why we find ourselves in the position that we're in today, where many people really and truly do believe that our history starts in a belly of ships. But you know what? We have to take some responsibility, because many of us don't even know who we were and how we lived before we got here. And we need to educate ourselves, and we need to unify, right? But we're so disconnected, so much so that I'm going to give you food for thought. When we were taken, our oppressors did not come more than 150 miles into the country. So how did we get there? Conflict between each other. And nothing can change. The same, just the other day, 1990 to 1995, the Tutsi and the Hutu in Rwanda was killing each other. Over 500,000 deaths. We need to understand and remember our mistakes, and we need to do it in August. Why? Do we know why we need to do it in August? Let me drop some facts for you. So on the 24th of August, 1619, the first ship came called the White Lion. And that contained 20 people that looked like you and looked like me. And this is when they officially started selling us. On the 7th of August in 1833, the British House of Commons passed the Freeing of Slave Act. And in that same month, on the 28th, the bill received royal approval. On the 1st of August 1834, this is when that bill was put into practice by all British colonies. August is far more relevant than October in the UK and February in the US. Can we not agree on that? What history is there in October? What history is there in February? I just gave you all the history for August. So let's celebrate our Freedom Month during that time. Freedom fighter and founder of the Remember the 400, Shadrach Porter, said so perfectly, so I'm going to quote him. He said, we must begin to look at what happens when you make noise. When a baby makes noise, or when a baby is hungry, they cry and cry and cry until they're fed, right? And then they put on the happy baby face smile, right? So pay attention. The local Japanese cried for being placed in camps as treated as enemies in the Second World War. They cried, they were recognized and compensated. Good for them. The veterans who were captured in Hong Kong by the Japanese during the Second World War, they cried. They were recognized and compensated. Good for them. The Jewish people have demanded recognition and compensation from every single government that they believe was privy to or had information or involvement in their Holocaust. There are movies about the Holocaust, books about the Holocaust, literature about the Holocaust, museums, multiple museums about the Holocaust, even national museums, where there are areas dedicated to the Holocaust. So let's talk reparations for this Holocaust. Since the state of Israel was formed in 1948, the American government has given them over $100 billion. Why? Because they cried, they were recognized and compensated. Good for them. The German government has fed them with over 100 billion marks, and this is equal to 49 billion pounds. Why? Because they cried, they were recognized and compensated. And what is that? Good for them. Right? In 1998, they again sued big corporations, this time in Germany. And Volkswagen came up with another 12 million. Why?
Because they cried.
Because they cried, they were recognized and compensated, and that is
good for them.
Now don't shoot me, I'm just stating facts. And listen, I'm not taking anything away from what happened to them, because what happened to them was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. But I want to highlight something to you. I want to highlight the definition of Holocaust. Because it's not just to do with Jewish people, you know. Holocaust means slaughter or destruction on a mass scale. Didn't that happen to us?
No.
So hold on a minute. What about our Holocaust? We were enslaved for 400 years, and it's so difficult for the people who've done horrific things to recognize and even recognize their contribution and their pain to our continual injustices. Now listen, I'm not angry with anybody for crying. I'm not angry with anybody for feeling them either. But I'll tell you who I'm angry with. I'm angry with you, and I'm angry with me. I'm angry with us for not crying for that. I'm angry with us for not trying harder. I'm angry with us for just falling off like it's some sort of fashion trend. I'm angry with us, or with those of us, should I say, that say, oh, don't worry about it. It was a long time ago. No. Because of that, we are years behind everybody. And our lack of togetherness, our disunity, our approach, our selfish attitude, our crabs in a barrel mentality does us zero favors. When one's up, we pull down. We sympathize with others and their sufferings, but we forget our own. So let me tell you something. The Remember the 400 organizations stand before you today, not just in the UK, but we're gathered right now in Canada and in the US, different states. Remember the 400 is a worldwide organization, understand that. And we are the same organization, and we have the same mission to empower our youth, to teach of our atrocities and our contributions globally, to bring about positive change in our economies, equality, and even social justice. We also want to provide the children of the descendants of the children of slavery with the foundation, the support, and the funding needed not only to thrive, but to begin the healing process, the process of healing the racial divide. So follow us on Instagram at Remember the 400. My name is Jayden Campbell, and thank you for listening to me.
So how do you feel after giving that speech?
It was definitely a good feeling, because I really wanted people to understand and really digest what I had to say.
Yes.
Because I feel like there was a lot of important points that I really wanted people to catch on to.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
What did you think of the speech?
Well, yeah. I was getting over myself in a speech mode. You came because you came on straight after me.
Yeah.
And you know, so I was getting into that, but I came straight into the audience. And kind of was around the circle, because when I did mine I was behind the speaker, and then you had the old banners and everything there. I thought yes, and then I came round and I was just like I got the point across? 100%. I like the bit good for them. I like that.
I wanted to really engage them, because if I did something, then hopefully it was gonna get them to really listen, to know when to kind of say that and stuff. But with the speech, I guess there was a few points that I really wanted to hammer home. And one of those being that I really wanted people to understand that we also have to take responsibility, because during this time we have made a lot of mistakes, and before this time, because I even gave the fact that with the food for thought, I said that, you know, when we were taken, our oppressors didn't come more than 150 miles into the country. You know,
I wasn't sure how that, you know, was gonna. It's a true point, and I remember hearing that point and thinking, ooh,
but it's true.
It's true. No, you have absolutely.
You have to say it, because even though the truth hurts, it's the facts.
It wasn't. I put that in my speech about being traded and sold and bought by the Europeans. So the point is that it's a story. You can't deny it. You know,
and that's why I even made reference to the Tutsi and the Hutu, because if our oppressors did not need to come more than 150 miles in, that means that we had conflict then. 1990 between 1990 and 1995, the Tutsi and the Hutus conflict again. Between 500,000, it's such a big figure, but it says between 500,000 and 1 million people killed. Like, that's of our own, and it's us doing it. So,
Yeah.
and even in today, there's so much crime. We have to understand and take a level of responsibility. We really do. We really do. So that was one of the points I really wanted to hammer home. Another one was really the month of August, because you know it's here as well.
Yeah.
With August being Freedom Month, because as Levi was saying also, there's no relevance. There's really no relevance to it being October here and February in the US, because it's just like what I was saying to people when I was talking about it, is it's like your birthday. You celebrate your birthday at a specific time of the year because that date is significant to you. When it comes to our freedom, August has all the significance. October and February, there's no significance, so why would you celebrate in that day? Now you're celebrating something where there's no purpose as to why you're doing it at that time. Do you get what I mean?
I think 100%. This is why I love Remember the 400, because it's very specific, and it's very specific to a particular nation or quote unquote black people. See, and that's the difference between Pan-Africanism, which is all about people with the same colour skin or different, but black and brown people, and then Remember the 400 is talking about a specific British history, okay? And that's what I love about it. So for me, I see October as Pan-Africanism, all people of black skin celebrating a time that they want to celebrate, but it doesn't tell my specific history. And as I think I said this earlier, because we're all black doesn't mean we're all the same. Africa is a massive continent. How many hundreds and thousands of tribes were there? And this is not, some people feed into the thing and think, oh, this is what they're doing, they're trying to separate us as black people. I'm not being separated as a black person, absolutely not. I know we all came from that continent, but in fairness, the human race came from that place. It wasn't just black people, the human race came from that place, but let's not go there. We're talking about British history, black Brits, African American, that history, how we got from one place to the other. I cannot advocate for somebody living in Kenya. I cannot advocate for somebody living in the Congo. They have their own oppression going on and their own battles and challenges. I can't talk about that. All I can talk about is my rights in this country and my citizenship in this country. And that's what Remember the 400 is, because it's about British history, which that's why we've claimed it as Freedom Month, because we're not asking, it's our Freedom Month, it's our history, and we want to dictate that, right?
100%.
Okay.
And with that point as well, I think it's just kind of a lot of the people here. Because if you, it's a very popular belief, as you said, that all black people are the same. But when you go to, if you speak to the Tutsi or the Hutus and try to tell them they're the same,
they're the same. They're not the same, and that's colonization too.
Exactly. And even there's, Africa's a big place, and you're trying to tell me that the Somalis
South African
have the same background as the Nigerians and Ghanaians, but
absolutely not. But we understand oppression, and we've got common value, we've got common issues. We've got lots of things in common because of the colour of our skin. 100%. But our culture and our history is still takes different paths and roads, and that's what we need to also make people aware of. And it doesn't mean because we have different cultures, beliefs, or even different religions as a black-skinned nation of people that we're not united, because we can still have unity, So, Wow.
What I think as well is that, even all black people are not the same, as we said, but here they get treated as the same. So what I think is really important for people to do is, although you're not going to necessarily agree on everything.
Never.
You're not going to necessarily agree on everything. So what we can agree on is that neither of us are being treated fairly.
Well, we should be.
We're not being treated fairly. So if we can agree on that, let's unify, get ourselves in better positions, and then if you really feel it in your heart that you want to discuss our cultural differences, then fine. But let's get ourselves in the positions that we need to be, and let's get ourselves recognizing our
Yeah.
freedom in a time that we're supposed to be.
That's what I want for Brixton next year. August is Freedom Month. When they do the celebration, the Reparations group, the Emancipations group, organisation, and all the organisations that we met there, you know, with similar goals and objectives. You know, we want everybody, you know, recognising that August is Freedom Month and we're going to be celebrating.
Yeah, that would be a beautiful sight to see that on a billboard in Brixton. Right?
Yeah. But you know, Brixton was definitely, it was what we said, you know, it were different organisations, black communities coming together for a common purpose and goal. It was, and it was peaceful, you know. You know, I don't know why people feel threatened when we talk about our own community and we celebrate our own history and culture. You know, why do we need politicians saying things that are negative when all we're doing is celebrating? You know, get this perception, change the narrative, allow us to enjoy ourselves peacefully. We were loving people, and there were other people of different ethnicities there, even with us, because that's standard, that's normal, and they were having a good time too.
Exactly.
You know, so yes, so. Brixton, anything else that you want to say about, you know?
So with the speech now, August was one of the points I really wanted to hammer home.
Yes.
Another point that I really wanted to hammer home was the quote that I actually quoted from the founder of the Remember the 400, right?
Yes.
Shadrach Porter, when he had said that, when I quoted and I said, you know, we must begin to look at what happens when a baby makes noise, and I talk about them crying, and then go into the other sets of people that have cried and been recognized and compensated, right? And that's when I did the whole good for them thing, right? So I really wanted people to understand. I really wanted people to just understand that I'm not, and that's why I was saying, we're not angry with anybody for crying. We're not angry with anybody for feeding them either, but let's talk being fair. They've been recognized and they've been compensated for the horrific things that they've gone through. And no other set of people have gone through anywhere near what we have gone through, and for that length of time.
Nobody.
And still today, systematic oppression. There's so much. Nobody has faced what we've had to face. So they've been paid. Good for them. But now we also need to be, we are exactly what Remember the 400 says, our atrocities and our contributions, it needs to be, our contributions globally, it needs to be recognized from everybody.
And everybody, as you said, everybody needs to know that all other people and nations who've suffered at the hand of any kind of discrimination, and let's talk about the Holocaust, as you said, they've had compensation, they have yearly acknowledgement. You know, you can't tell them not to remember their history. And then we've had hundreds and hundreds of years still having systematic racism and oppression. And the minute we talk about it, the minute we gather in the streets, it's a problem. Like we're gonna be these big, you know, we're thugs and we're called. It's so sad why they don't care about us or feel our pain. Like they don't feel anything. You know, reparations is not just about financially compensating for the atrocities, or even not even just for the atrocities, because compensation is for the atrocities, but don't forget our contribution. When you've got your property,
So
that is now worth millions and millions, and we built that for free labour.
But so much businesses also.
Businesses,
schools.
bills, your children being able to get into education systems, colleges, graduates, get the education, and we're down here, we can't buy a property, we're not even allowed to buy property in America. You're not even allowed because there was laws in place. And then we talk about our community and what we've been through and reparations and just needing a bit of a help because of where we're coming from. But we're viewed politically as causing problems, causing division. We never caused the division. We're actually trying to repair the division. We're trying to repair the racial divide. And reparations is not just about money. It's a lot about restoring. So educationally, mentally, psychologically.
Exactly, and that's one thing as well, because
where's the systems to help?
Exactly. And when you spoke about the Holocaust, right? I remember being in school, secondary school, right? And they took us to the cinema down the road to watch a movie called Boy in Striped Pajamas. Have you seen it?
No.
That is a movie about the Holocaust. That's why I know about the Holocaust.
Oh, okay.
I know a lot about the Holocaust because of that movie, and there was so much people that looked like me in the cinema crying and stuff from my school and stuff like that. But it's like, I understand, and it was terrible. I said it in my speech. It was absolutely terrible what happened to those guys. But please ask 50 Jewish people what happened to us, and can they tell you? Do you know? So the same way that they took us to the cinema to watch the Boy in Striped Pajamas, why don't you take every when it comes to that year group, a specific year group in every single secondary school to watch The Journey? Yeah. Why don't you do that?
Oh,
so then they know about us. So then they know about us. They know about the Holocaust, and they know about our Holocaust. Because as I've defined, Holocaust is not strict to Jewish people.
Yes.
Holocaust is destruction or slaughter on a mass scale. Now that could be anybody, and our scale was a lot more. The numbers were a lot higher than the Jewish Holocaust.
Yeah,
right?
maybe they feel like that, you know, they show that to people in the streets, and they showing the depth of their evil against us. In fairness, their evil. And what does that awaken? But what they need to understand is,
it's the facts,
you know,
and
the facts. It's been done. You know, help restore, help build. We're not coming to war here. We're not out on the streets to battle. Yeah, we're actually out on the streets celebrating our lives. Let us do that in peace, without negative, political, silly comments that are very, you know.
So, also as well, sorry, I was going to say the last thing that from the speech that I really wanted to hammer home was just the stance of the Remember the 400. So I hope that was put across to the listeners, and even to everybody that just listened to it. If that was the first time, I really do hope that the message was put across. So
to remember the 400.
Yeah, just all those points.
Absolutely. So let's go. Mission and values. To remember the atrocities and the contributions of the descendants of the children of slavery.
Yeah.
To heal the racial divide.
Yeah.
We aimed to restore, re-educate and reclaim, and we want to promote Freedom Month or August as Freedom Month.
And even also to affect positive change in our economies.
Absolutely.
You know, promote equality, social justice, and we want to be able to provide the support, funding and foundation, you know, for our people, not only to thrive, as I said earlier, but as you said, to begin the process of healing the racial divide.
Absolutely, absolutely. So guys, get to our website and, you know, like and, you know, subscribe and comment, and look at our GoFundMe, because as I said, you know, everything that is contributed goes back into the society. You know, it really goes back into building. So please do that. Go on our website, look at the QR codes. If you've got a business, you know, have those QR codes up in the business.
And bring us to your schools.
Yes.
Bring us to your schools to let us teach
about,
so we can raise awareness.
Absolutely.
To all ethnic groups.
From the youth. Like look at the youth. This is not the stereotype, you know. So let's definitely do that. Let's celebrate August as Freedom Month, and join us in this mission to really re-educate and tell the truth about our own history. Jayden Campbell, I just want to thank you again for your contribution. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you. Keep, you know, we're going to be, you know, you're part of us, so keep doing the great job that you're doing, because you're truly an inspiration to so many. So many. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that.
Okay. We are back at Remember the 400. Thank you again for joining us. Levi, so I just want to hear from you before we close today. You know, as the Deputy Chair for the 400 Committee and Organisation in the UK, how do you feel about Brixton and the success of our event that day?
Where can I start? So, I think the event was a massive success, from the turnout of the amount of people that came to even remember the 400 just being so visual and so prominent there.
Yes.
For example, on the Mail Online, it's a big news publication.
Yes.
There was a picture that I saw. I would estimate probably about, I don't know, 300-400 people in that picture, and all you see are the flags behind us, the banners. It's so vibrant. Everything that happened under the Remember the 400 organization was so successful. Even down to you and Jayden's speech. It was so enlightening, and even for us, even though we know what we're standing for, it was amazing. And even to see the audience members and the way that they reacted to it was amazing. And I was so happy to be a part of it.
And we've got a good audience feedback, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think we've got great feedback,
Yeah.
and I think we inspired a lot of people.
Yeah.
And as you said, the visual, it really did stand out.
Yeah.
To a lot of people, people from all walks of life were like, 400, what does that mean? What does 400 mean?
Yeah.
So it was great. And I really, as chair, really want to just thank you for your contribution and the team. We had such a great team, don't we? From our marketing team, our events planning team, legal team. We have the youth. Oh my goodness, they were out there, weren't they?
100%.
They were absolutely out there, scanning the QR codes, getting the contacts, speaking to people about who we are. They drew in great interest. And in fairness, I had a lot of positive comments about, wow, you guys have got youth. Like, they're so inspired to see young people contributing to their community so positively and so effectively and so well done as well. So great credit to you, Levi, because I know that you lead the youth group, part of the Remember the 400, and the team is absolutely fantastic. So absolutely credit to you. And we just had Jayden Campbell, one of our speakers and our advocates, and he did an incredible job, incredible representation. And this is who we are. This is my joy. This is who we are. This is the future of tomorrow, our youth. And I hold it close to my heart. And I want to touch on just a small segment of black youth representation here in the UK.
Yeah.
Let's just mention a few movies right now.
Movies.
The movie that I love it. What is the greatest representation of a UK?
I've got a few. Okay, so you've got The Intent, which was an amazing film.
Intent. What's that?
Similar to, it's about drugs and crime and stuff like that.
Okay.
Getting yourself stuck in the cycle of that sort of thing. You've got adulthood, kidhood, brotherhood. But my favourite personally is Top Boy.
Top Boy, yes.
Yeah, so it's, I can say, I wouldn't say it's personally relatable, but because I've grown up around that environment, considering where I live, and seeing firsthand what actually goes on, it's an amazing depiction of what is actually going on in our society, especially with black youth.
Right. So this is the part that where we talk about taking some form of social responsibility, knowing where in our community we need that growth. We need to redirect the energy to something much more progressive, successful, and less damaging to ourselves as a community. And I will keep highlighting a small geographic community of people practice this self-hate almost, right? A small demographic of black youth, fall into that crime and that drug life, but yet it's so amplified in mainstream media. Now we know even those few that fall into that demographic are, I'd say, the little people. Because if you really want to know about people who are really into drugs, they're wearing suits, they're wearing ties, they have multi-million pound businesses, properties, and you don't see them. So when you have the small little young boys on the street, the little foot runners, and the small geographic part of town, or few areas, but very small, being magnified as this is the black youth and this is what they're contributing to society. We know that that is a lie, okay, in the sense of it being amplified.
Yeah.
It's real, but in a very small area.
Yeah.
And you know, I like to talk about it because I know that a lot of the youth that we remember the 400 come from those areas. You know, they live or they've grown up in them demographic groups, and yet do not fall into that stereotype.
100%.
So you tell me a bit more about that.
So I would say I 100% agree with the fact that you said a small portion of black youths, that's so magnified in the media, especially with like knife crime and drug related crimes and whatnot. And I can personally vouch for that because I know, because at my school, I knew more people that went to university and to go study on to be lawyers and doctors and you know, accountants and this and that, and even people that have gone and done apprenticeships in law firms and stuff like that. I know more people that have gone and done that than have gone and led a life of crime.
Yes.
I know a few. I'm not gonna sit here and lie.
Absolutely.
I do know a few, but predominantly the people that I saw in school have gone on to do greater things than just crime and whatever's magnified in the media. And I feel like the media really need to showcase, instead of, for example, what year was it? 2018. I remember in the month of April 2018. I think there was about 7 or 8 days consecutively when there was a stabbing or killing of a black youth in London, right? And they called that a pandemic, which I get it's a massive issue, but when you look at especially the coronavirus now, that's a pandemic. This is not a pandemic, and especially when you can easily say that this was caused because the government decided to defund youth clubs and put more funding into making more prisons, which isn't going to work at all.
No community help, no community support.
Exactly, and then
all right.
in
Scotland, they deal with it differently. In other parts of the world, when there's crime, they deal with their youth differently. Okay, they get programs in really quickly.
Exactly.
They look at the family unit. They put things in to ensure that, you know, there's the provisions in place to stop the youth from kind of taking the wrong road.
Yeah.
But in London, it's almost like a business.
And it's sad.
You know?
Yeah, it's sad because you'll get, even in school, you'll get the odd student that is involved in maybe that sort of lifestyle. Teachers will find out, or you might get the one odd teacher that will find out and try and bring that student back onto the right path. And then that teacher will then get, I've witnessed it firsthand. You'll have a teacher that will stick up for the black youths in the school and keep them from going astray and keep them so that they're treated as more than they are.
Yes.
And then they'll get removed from the school. And it's sad to see because it's like they're still trying to keep us down into where they've been trying to, well, they're still trying to keep us down to where they had us for so many years before. And now that they're seeing us trying to prosper and build ourselves up, and you've got people that are in the school trying to keep us building ourselves up and keeping us from a life of drugs, they want to remove them.
So
it's just no help.
That's a real story. So we're going to be speaking to that particular teacher on the Insta Wednesdays, right?
100%.
Tell me when the Youth Insta Wednesday is going to be.
So for the UK, it is on the 12th of August.
So we're going to get that
7
story
o'clock.
on there. So about that teacher who was really trying to stand behind the youth and keep them on the right track, and yet that individual, that man, got dismissed from the school. So that's that. Let's hear from him. I'm really looking forward to hearing about that. Yeah, I think it's a great shame because again they don't show a great picture. Don't get me wrong, Top Boy.
Yeah.
Great film.
Yeah.
Great representation of what does go on with that small minority group of young black men and women.
Even grown-up men.
Yeah, grown-up men and women. It is real. We're not taking from it. It's a very great depiction from what I understand from the youth, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at it, you know, some of it's from poverty. Young boy trying to help his mother.
Yeah.
You know, pay bills, do certain things, and that's the easiest way to do it. You know. So it is there, but I absolutely like that movie. I think it's fantastically done. But my joy is that I know that we have youth that grown up around those areas, come out of those areas, and absolutely do not live that life.
Yeah.
Okay, and kind of, you know, move around it day to day. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else, you know, from a youth perspective, you know, remember the 400. What stands out about it to you? What does it mean to you? You know?
Personally, I think I said it in the first part of the show. I think education is one of the most fundamental parts of this whole organisation, and one of the most fundamental parts for our growth as a people. I feel like, I know Jayden said it, the minute you begin to forget is the minute you begin to repeat. And I feel like if we can get taught about our mistakes and what we can do right and what we've done wrong in the past, we won't repeat it. And I feel like there's a lack of education even out there now. For example, Black history in school, I've never been taught Black history from a black man or a black woman.
Right.
How can they relate? And they can't teach me. I mean, they can teach me, but it's not going to come across in the same way as a black man would say or a black woman would say. So I feel like education is 100% important when it comes to that aspect of the organisation.
And what do you think about, you know, quote unquote, you know, Black UK culture? So you find a lot of that in, you know, the music that we listen to, and is that a true reflection of our culture? Tell me what are your thoughts on that?
So the Black UK culture, obviously, whether it's the UK or the US, Black culture is always going to be influential to any ethnicity.
And that's because we're leaders by nature.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. So, but if we're narrowing it down to the UK, there's a lot of mixed. It's a mixed subject in a sense, or it's a grey area in the sense that the music that's put out there by a few artists, you can say it's not necessarily positive.
Yeah.
However, me personally, I wouldn't fault them because they've been put in a position where they never had any education. They got put in a position where their parents were left on benefits and they're struggling, and they're trying to find a legal way out of the system. That's their legal way out.
That's their legal way out.
That's their legal. It's better. I prefer someone my age make music.
Yes.
Than to go and sell drugs
Yeah.
and go and kill each other over silliness.
And it's the music that sells.
Exactly.
It's the music that's being pushed by people. Again, we're not really in control of our own, you know, labels.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
We're not in control of our own labels. You know, we're not the people in control. So we're making music that, you know, they're saying they want. And again, that's to degrade us.
Exactly.
That's to, you know, promote a culture that is not fully really always Black culture or the holistic culture of our people, which is much more progressive and, you know, progressive and, you know, not so, what can I say, demoralizing almost. But yeah, it's a legal way out.
Exactly.
And I also think that no matter what we do, whether it be a positive message or not, it's influential. Exactly. So the bass line, the music, the rhythm, it's going to make you move. No, because that's the people that we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But they say what they have to say, and some of it is truthful, you know, what they're saying in their lyrics, because that's going to make them legal money, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to help them to,
I think,
get out, maybe.
I 100% agree with that, and I feel that the government should probably try and aim to support them even more. For example, over our Brixton event, 100% peaceful. I don't think there was any arrests made that whole day, and there was probably about 900 people to 1,000 people in that one square. No arrests made. All they saw or heard was loud music. A bunch of people on the road protesting for their rights.
They said there were 3 arrests.
There you go, 3 arrests.
But why they hide? Like even that, I didn't see no arrests. I didn't see no problem. But they always want to highlight there had to be an arrest.
Yeah.
What about when you go to what's that biggest festival in England?
You got a few. You got Wireless. You got Glastonbury.
And all of that kind of stuff. Do you know how much drugs people are doing there?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like you go to that festival to do drugs.
Yeah.
You don't hear about people being arrested.
Exactly.
You don't hear about thugs and this and that. But they're all. Let me not be ignorant and say they're all high. But that is the culture of Glastonbury.
Yeah.
That is the culture of festivals.
Yeah,
and it is not magnified in that way.
Exactly.
And that is what we call it's covert. racism.
Yeah.
And they're dictating a culture and putting it, speaking about us in a way that absolutely is not true. Because, like I said, there's many areas very close to outside of London, very close, and they have drug problems.
Yeah.
They have crime, knife crime. They have they have great stuff going on, and all I keep hearing is London.
Exactly.
London, because they know there's a lot of black people, or that live in London more than they live anywhere else. And again, it's covert racism.
Yeah, and
right?
even like just to finish my point about Brixton, as peaceful as it was, you heard loud music. That's just our culture.
We like to celebrate.
Exactly, we just like music.
Well, not many people like to listen to our music.
Exactly.
In fairness.
And you had just peaceful protests. You had a lot of people. You had even little businesses selling there. So it was nothing violent or aggressive. But then you've got Nigel Farage saying something about the scenes at Brixton yesterday or today were truly terrifying. I don't know what else they want us to do. I think it's the fact that we're making noise now that they're feeling a bit threatened. And if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes.
I think the presence of dark skin alone,
they don't actually see
is a threat. And I don't know why it has to be that way. And that's why we want to educate all nations. We truly want to heal this racial divide. We want to really tell the true story. And we really want to show the real reflection of our youth, because it is not as it seems. Come to us, come and talk to us about our history and our culture. Come and find out about us, and don't make any assumptions and listen to everything you read and hear on the mainstream TV. So, all right. So, any closing words? What's your message for the young people? What's your message to the young people?
I would say, for the young people, we've definitely taken a step in the right direction. Firstly, a lot of on social media, a lot of the time you're now seeing young people around my age starting businesses, and that's definitely a step in the right direction. The idea of working, don't get me wrong, working under somebody is 100% fine, but the idea of becoming our own bosses is now definitely becoming a prominent idea within the black community.
Excellent.
And along the same lines of that, you've got a lot of black youths now supporting each other and supporting each other's businesses, so that if we don't make or have our own business, at least we know somebody that has started their own business. So I feel like we're definitely taking a step in the right direction. In addition to that, social media, you've definitely got more of a presence of people now talking back and fighting back against racism that's seen on social media. For example, you've got footballers. Most recently, Wilfred Zaha. There was even though he was 12 years old, it was a little boy. He's young. I'm not gonna gun him down for it, but he's made a massive mistake by tweeting something racist towards him. Wilfred Zaha spoke out about him or about that situation. The police got involved, and I feel like that's the right. No matter what age you are, you're still in control of yourself. So if you're gonna do something, you've done it now, and you need to own up to it, take responsibility for it. So I feel like the black community now are 100% fighting back against all sorts of inequality, and I feel like we're doing it in a much better way than we were before. For example, you got the riots that I think it was the 90s in LA. I forgot the name of the riots, but they were riots. And I don't think violently specifically, I don't think we'll get a cause. I think we definitely need to do it peacefully and just begin to learn where we came from.
I think there's an awakening. The eyes, I think, feel like the shields from the eyes that move now, and people are waking up actually and questioning everything that we're told and everything that we've ever learned. We're questioning things now. We're not just believing everything that we hear. We're seeing things as they are as well. Even to the extent of, if there was a march and there was violence, you're thinking, well, was it an infiltration? Because usually our people, we protest peacefully. That's what we do. But then you have people sometimes paid to go into that, peaceful march and cause a disruption. I remember when there was happening Hackney riots or whatever was going on there.
Mark Duggan.
And I kept watching the TV, and they kept playing the same clip, just the same clip, and it was on specific darker skinned people, but yet when you had the looting, there was all different ethnicities and races, and I was like, this is just so false. It is so false, you know. But yeah, I'm absolutely proud of, you know, Remember the 400. I say to the young people, come and check us out. We want to hear from you. You know, we want to empower you. We want you to tell us, you know, your story, your experience, what you need, as you know, as from Remember the 400 even, because truly we want to establish, you know, our organisation to really, you know, fit the youth and their narrative and their needs. You see what I'm saying? So I'm so excited, and I'm so proud to be a part of Remember the 400 and to have you guys really contribute in the way that you do. So guys, you know, come to the website and you know, like, subscribe. Again, QR codes in your businesses, please. GoFundMe, it goes back into our community. Key, we're here to heal the racial divide. We want to truly teach about the contributions and the atrocities of the descendants of the children of slavery. It's very important to British history and to American history. It's so significant. So yeah, I think we've touched on quite a lot. Absolutely touched on quite a lot. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and you know, for Jayden Campbell joining us. That was absolutely fantastic. So guys, as we've said, Freedom Month is in August, and we have another event coming up, don't we? On the 23rd. Come and join us in Hyde Park Speakers Corner, okay? Marble Arch Station, right there, right across the road. The Remember the 400 community will be there with our youth. We will be giving presentations, speeches, performances, truly celebrating Freedom Month. Please come out and join us. If there's anybody that really wants to speak at the event, contact us. Leave your details, go to the website. We will be in touch with you because again, we want to give people a platform. If you're for the advancement of our people, then please come out. So again, the 23rd of August, Sunday, please be there. And do you want to talk about I Am More on the 24th?
Yeah, so I Am More event would be a virtual event on YouTube on the 24th of August, so the next day, at 6 o'clock the UK time, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So please tune in. You'll see all the talents and all the achievements of the UK youth members, even the Canadian and the American, because at the end of the day, the event is called I Am More. We're trying to show that we're much more than a stereotype. So in doing that, we want to showcase our talents and showcase how well we are doing even in a society which doesn't want us to do well. So yeah, please tune into that. And yeah, we want to thank again, you know, the founder of Remember the 400, Shadrach Porter, for inspiring us to be more. We truly do. We want to just thank him for his wisdom and for his encouragement and for everything that he's taught us, and it really just helping us to set up this foundation. We're expanding to a great social enterprise where we'll be the go-to place. So please, you know, we're here, hire us, do what you need to do, but use us for the growth of, you know, the community. Thank you. Also, sorry. No sorries. Also, every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time and 7 p.m. GMT, we will be holding interviews. So, for example, Wednesday the 5th of, the next one, Wednesday the 12th of August, will be the UK's turn. At 7 p.m. GMT, we'll be interviewing a few youth groups and a few influential people and even campaigners that are in agreements with August being Freedom Month and even in agreements of remembering the 400. And that will go on for every Wednesday till the end of August. So the 12th, the 19th and the 26th. Excellent. So please tune in to that.
Please tune in. All the information you will find at rememberthe400.com. So go online, check us out, look at our events, everything will be posted there. Again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Take care. We'll speak to you soon.